Did we do it?
Hello. It looks
Hello.
live to me.
Oh, good afternoon, good evening, good everything. Hi. How are you?
I am doing great. How about you?
Um. Yeah. I'm still. Yeah, I'm good. How are you? I mean, it's just. I don't know. I've been. It's Monday, so I was looking. I don't know. I'm always looking forward to Tuesday, but then you agreed. Uh, uh, Foolishly to be on the show, so I'm really excited about Monday now. But I don't enjoy the conflict. It's just.
The duality of Monday, but trying to be cheerful on a Monday. There's good things about this Monday. I mean, I know that this is very regional, but it is a horrible, terrible outside. It is sunny here in Atlanta, Georgia, and 71 degrees. It is the inclement weather. It's just terrible out here. But I will take that inclement weather of sunny and 71. So,
Yeah. 70. Might have to get out the the full cotton t-shirt, you know.
oh my gosh. I mean, well, that's true. I might have to, but today it's, the today's shirt is never trust an atom. They make up everything. So I'm just letting you know. I'm also giving you physics lessons too, and chemistry lesson there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um I don't know. So can you I usually I mean people know you. This is the
They
problem.
do?
People will know. Yeah, they wait. Yeah, they're gonna know you already. So I don't know. I'm gonna ask you, but it's just for it's pro forma, okay? You kind of have to do it. So can you please
Uh,
introduce yourself? So no, just in case.
well, here we go. Oh, hello, everybody. My name is Glenn. I'm one of the developers at Spring. I work on Spring Cloud Data Flow, Spring Cloud Task, Spring Batch. When Mahmoud says, Glenn, I'll let you play with it a little bit, but not too much now. So I play with Spring Cloud or Spring Batch. Emergency, he lets me actually work on Spring Cloud Stream from time to time. When I'm not doing that, I'm on the board of directors of Devnexus and Asia. Devnexus is still, I think, the largest Java conference in the US and North America. When I am not doing that, both Josh and I are both Java champions.
Yep.
And I think both you and I will be at Devnexus about March 4th to 6th. That's what I hear. That's the rumor mill.
Actually, I mean, yeah. So, uh, it it's not just you and me, right? It's gonna be
Really?
a crowd. It's not just. This is gonna be quite the little like it's. I mean, it's not just you and me. I looked at some of the names there. There's a grip of people. There's a metric ton.
Oh
Uh,
my goodness. Yeah, we're running 14 tracks this year. So the schedule is everything from architecture, AI, cloud infrastructures, core Java frameworks. We've been hosting Java platform, practices, other tech security, tools and techniques, web. Gosh, what else are we doing? We even have a Jakarta EE track. So we've got just a ton of stuff going on. We've also got workshops on the 4th. The main
mhm.
conference is on March the 5th at 6. And so come on by and enjoy just seeing what's going on. The days on the 3rd, the Java Champions will have a Java Champion Summit there, as well as the AJUG leadership, and they're going to actually hang around Devnexus afterward. So, or during. So, if you see one of your favorite Java champions there, take a hallway track moment and just pick a chat with them.
Here's
A number of Spring folks will be there. I think it's a pretty large group that's going to be there. I think it's like 20 Spring and Spring alumni folks will be there this year. So it's a really big opportunity to come on by and learn a lot about Java, learn about what's new, learn how Java plays with AI, learn about how AI is affecting us as developers.
yeah.
Gosh, what else is there going on? Wednesday night, we're going to um, have a open bar night. So
Right.
it's like, come on by, have a few drinks, enjoy. That's all part of your admission. Off Heap will be there. They'll be also doing their recording of their podcast there. You get to see me there running around. So if you see a bald man just kind of like running all over the place, that's probably me.
Right.
So just letting you know that I will be there as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm excited. So you almost 20 people from the sort of spring and spring adjacent teams.
Yes.
And that's a lot of people talking about all sorts of cool stuff. Obviously, I'll be there, so don't let that stop you. There's still 19 really good people that are going to be there.
Make that 18. Make that 18.
Yeah, and then I mean it's going to be so good. So I'll be there. I'll be doing a thing. Am I doing a workshop?
You are doing a workshop and between 1 and 2 talks, man. You're
I'm
really on it this time.
Talks. I'm doing half of one with Dr. Mark Pollock on the AIs, and
Yes.
and then I've got my own shtick, my own usual update, But come for the Dr. Pollock thing. That'll be actually good, And then we've got like almost 20 people total there. And you mentioned there's going to be a Java Champions Summit.
Yes.
For people who don't know, Java Champions they're mostly with the present company very much excluded. They're they're meant to be those who have done the best to help disseminate the gospel, so to speak, of Java. And it's not even strictly speaking technical leadership or skill or acumen. It is really about whether you've helped other people find their way to Java. So in theory, you could, without being able to write a line of Java code, you could be a Java champion. But it certainly helps. It does help, And so
a little.
You can assume that people that are there and that have spoken credibly about Java or done something to impress upon others the value of Java did so by showing and understanding and articulating the value behind it, which implies that they know how to wield it and wield it well. So those people, even though it's not strictly speaking a requirement, will often be very interesting people to talk to about it. Well, Java.
I would say like Vincent Mayers is also a Java champion, and he is like the grand master of Devnexus, Connect Tech. I forgot what other conferences he does, and he is a Java champion. But what he has done, he's promoted Java and helped. He even worked at Oracle for a while as a dev advocate for Java. And so it's just through his action of spreading and disseminating information and sharing and setting up areas where people can learn about Java is what earned him the right as a Java champions, because he set up things so people can learn about it, which is awesome.
Well, and so all that to say, most of the people that are going to be there will have interesting things to share with you, probably.
Oh, absolutely.
I would expect all those Java champions would be interesting conversations. I would look out for them. So if you want to know where they are and you want to collect them like Pokemon, collect photos with them.
Good.
You go to javachampions.org and you can see the list of all the Java champions out there, and then find the subset that's attending Devnexus, and bingo bango, that's the ball game.
That's it.
So two of us, we know you and I are going to be there. Dr. Pollock, again, the AI, I got to be honest with you, I'm really excited about the AI stuff. It's a little self-serving because I'll be doing a talk on AI. But really, you want to go see this. This stuff is, have you been following, Glenn, the madness recently? Well understood, reasonable madness, but the incredible sort of excitement around the community just recently. With sort of in light of DeepSeek and all this stuff?
I don't know. I'll put it this way. After all the hype and whatnot, I went ahead and pulled down Olama and pulled down R1, the smallest model of R1 onto my machine just to explore it and play with it, and used it as a way to kind of do it as a method of of AI as a oh gosh, my brain just fried out on me. Darn. But basically as an advisor, so that I could get, well, not as advisor, but as a evaluator to make sure AI is a judge. There we go. AI is a judge. Yeah. Thank goodness. So I could actually kind of see how my AI was behaving, because I created like a fast food app that allowed people to order food and by voice, and it does all the response. But some of the things that it did was, I was like, okay, here's the text that was entered. Did it respond appropriately, right, when it did its values? And I think my favorite one was I was saying I want a hamburger, a fry, and a soda. And it said, okay. And I was wanting to do an evaluation saying, okay, what if I said catfish bait, right? It should say, well, we don't have catfish bait here, right? And it was actually, it said, yes. Yes, I have your order for fries, a Coke, and a hamburger, but we don't sell catfish bacon. And I went, well, that's actually entertaining. And my AI as a judge kind of said, that's not what he said.
Oh.
It was actually a lot of fun to kind of play with that. But, it's a way to test what my little app was doing.
You can have one correct the other. Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Well, it's not really correction. It's during the testing. So I used to have some of my test data to actually roll in.
Right.
And when I saw it, I was like, okay, I wonder if it's going to catch it. And it sure did. So you can use different AI models. One is like, here's your primary, but then you can have another one to do checks, right? And you can add that as your tests, so that you can write it so that in under Spring, it's not advisor. It's what's it called? Oh, it's killing me. But in the test, so in the test, an evaluator. That's right. So you can have an evaluator go in and say, okay, is this correct? And you can actually set it up to do your tests on, make sure what you're getting out of your system is what you expect.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean it is really quite amazing what you can do if you play one off the other in this sort of conversational style, or use one to regulate, modulate, or otherwise govern another. And I was actually, there's a great blog by our pal Kristen Soloff from I don't know, it was a few weeks ago, right? The agentic patterns. Did you see that? Agentic patterns, Kristen Soloff. I really want to do a blog. I want to do a live stream with this. It's called Building Effective Agents with Spring AI Part 1.
Ooh.
And it's sort of conversational. This is very much the bread and butter. I mean, Kristen, he's I guess I would venture to say he's probably the number 2 team member on Spring AI. So he's obviously very important to that project. But before he was doing that, he was important to the Spring Cloud data flow and Spring Cloud machinery. That whole ecosystem. And very much sort of, this is it's just a wonder it took him this long to write this, because it seems like these two things are very much up his up in his wheelhouse, so to speak. The post is looking at how to build agents, and he lists a number of different patterns here. And agents, of course, are things that can take a number of steps to achieve an outcome for you, often in cooperation with the human being requesting the work. And this is very much a question of workflow. Like, I want to have a thing that goes in that talks to the model. The model then has tools that it can use to wield on your behalf. And so there's several different descriptions here of different patterns. Chain workflow, for example, where you simplify the process by breaking down complex tasks into simpler, more manageable steps, and then having the AI call and manage, do each little thing, and you aggregate the results. So you and I look at this, and I'm sure anybody who else is looking at this goes, oh, well, this is something I could do with Spring Cloud Data Flow, or maybe Spring Integration, or even just Spring Cloud Stream. I mean,
right.
Like this, I understand this. This is my wheelhouse right here. Spring AI plus the stuff you work on, Spring Cloud Data Flow and Spring Cloud Stream and Spring Cloud Task. um, is this is how I want to build my agents, for me at least. So this
Well,
is,
absolutely. I mean, you think about it. You and I were just kind of chatting about it before,
yeah,
and one of the things that you talk with folks, and there's a degree of cognitive load that we have when we've with this AI front, whether it's a new model out there that they've introduced or a new feature to a specific model, and you're going, oh my gosh, how can I integrate this into my code? And so, that's the wonderful thing about Spring AI is it says, look, okay, we're going to go back to the tried and true premises of Spring.
right,
Spring says, look, you could take different technologies and provide a very familiar methodology of accessing these various technologies in a very common way, in something that's it feels right.
right,
And so once whether I have learned how to use Spring Data to access data
right,
across many different types of data sources, or I'm using Stream, where I'm using various types of messaging frameworks, Kafka, Pulsar, Rabbit, whatever that is. Whether I'm trying to think of some of the other cross-cutting technologies that we use. There's always this common thing that we build. And so once you learn how to use one of those packages using Spring, the other one just gets easier to use because you like the same kind of familiar feel to it. Spring
right,
AI does that to you for the AI infrastructure. So, you know, it reduces that cognitive load of what it takes to learn it. So you say, okay, I see what ChatGPT does, or I see what, DeepSeek does, DeepSeek. Um, Now, but we've taken and we've distilled that to just a common interface. So you just have to learn the one way that Spring does it for you, and then you just plug and play whichever one of those various technologies that you want to apply. And again, it has that same common feel to it, and it simplifies it for us. It again reduces that cognitive load. So we can sort of know that if I've learned Java's been here
right,
for 30 years. I've learned Spring. It's been around for 22 years.
right.
I've got this feel for it. Now we have this other project that simplifies our access to these wonderful things that we can get through the AI, the LLMs, the generative AIs.
It's so good.
It's all of it.
It's so good. And I'm looking at this stuff. I'm looking at these AI patterns. Um, I think object-oriented programming was useful to those who were imaginative in the very beginning, but
Mhm.
it really took the emergence of the Gang of Four patterns and sort of other well-documented recipes for certain solutions before people, I think, started to appreciate what the extra ceremony involved in creating objects could buy you.
Right.
And in the same way, I think having these patterns around agentic workflows and being able to connect them to stuff, the tools of the trade that people will already be familiar with if they're using Spring and Spring Cloud Dataflow and Spring Cloud Stream and all that. Having the ability to connect these ideas, these cookie cutter patterns, to concepts and technologies that should be approachable for people using Spring. I think that's going to be a game changer. I think that'll.
I think so too. I mean, one of the things that I did, I was putzing with was I said, can I do RAG, where I use Spring Batch to actually load up a vector data store,
I think that makes so
right?
much sense, by the way. So much
And
sense.
so what I did is I said, can I read a PDF? And that's a common thing, okay, we got all these PDFs, so can I read a PDF and then take that, read the PDF, and then use Spring Batch, say, okay, here's a whole list or a whole directory of PDFs. Can I take those and load those into a vector data store using Batch? And the answer was like, yes, because I
Mm-hmm.
basically used, I think it was Apache Mina to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
the reads, and then you just use. It was just I used Spring AI, so I took and created my own writer, and I just wrote my own little quick reader, my own writer, and then it just goes through and cycles through and loads up this vector data store. So the thing is that that's where Spring really fits in. It's like it wasn't like this huge, like massive problem I had to go through. It was more like some reading, like how do I read a PDF, and oh, Spring AI already does a vector store for us. It already understands that sense of document, right? It's done.
Yeah.
So now I just go in, pop, and I was done. And I went, okay, what else can I do with this? And then that's the part that you can actually have a lot of fun with Spring, is it reduces that load of like, how am I going to load all this stuff between the various projects? And again, auto configuration, it simplifies your life for you. It allows you to get right to that problem.
That's so good. But so Spring Batch, I use this all the time. Spring Batch, for people who have been living under the largest of rocks, is a technology for working with large amounts of sequential data. And Spring AI has done a very good job, I think, of towing the line. They're trying to get the core abstraction pat before they extend Spring AI to the furthest corners of the Spring ecosystem. And so, it's, for now, it's pretty easy for us to, like Lego bricks, just assemble and deploy Spring Batch and Spring AI. But there is no implicit sort of auto configuration. I dare I add, yet. But for now, I mean, they've done a really good job, right? But still, because they've done such a good job, it's pretty trivial to do it yourself anyway, right? Just all these different pieces in. And the vector store is a great example of a vector store. For those who don't know, is a data store optimized for similarity searches. I can find things that are related or similar to other things. And a lot of times you want to initialize that data store, or at least synchronize that data store with some other data store or data set. And you might be a bunch of PDF files, like you say. Well, this is inherently, there's potential for failure, and there's potential for there being a lot of data. You might want to do this. You might need to bootstrap the vector store with 20 years of like PDF documents or whatever, so that work is something you want to do in parallel if you can. You would like to be able to have recoverability if something goes wrong. You'd like to have the ability to track that, see where it is. It's just a slow, tedious sort of thing, right? And Spring Batch just it makes all that like go away. And if you do decide to take advantage of concurrency or even distributed processing, that ingest just becomes trivial with Spring Batch.
It really does. I really do. Like some of the features I love is the fact with the Spring Batch, like you said, is like, let's say I have 10,000 PDFs, and at 5,000, it just chokes. The vector store chokes. The connection failed to, because we're running on two different systems. The LAN goes out. What do we do? Well, Spring Batch says that's okay. You can create your batch job so that it's like, oh, we failed it. You restart it. It goes in and says, oh, I left off at issue 5,000 or document 5,000. I'll just pick up and run where I left off at, and keeps going. And then you don't have to worry about transactions. It manages the transactions for you. You just you configure it to say how you want your transaction handled. I don't have to write code to do that. That's just done through configuration. So I can configure my way of how this thing is going to behave, minimizing how much boilerplate code I have to write.
Right.
And when you talk about a vector store, that's just yet another database, because there's a ton of our pre-configured writers that come with Batch, whether it's relational, Mongo. Oh my gosh, I forgot what are the other types of databases they support.
Everything.
And if it's not database, it's got flat file readers, writers. It's got it can write to Kafka, read from Kafka, write and read to AMQP. I mean, pretty much a lot of the ways in which we use to communicate or retrieve data and store data, Batch has a reader and writer for.
Yeah, which I love.
Yes.
That stuff is really good. So I'm all that to say, come to Devnexus. Yeah. Like,
really? Yes.
It's gonna be so good. I've been really deep into the this new MCP stuff. You mentioned tooling will be a big thing at Devnexus, and one of the things I'd love to talk about in one of my talks, and certainly in the workshop, you can expect that workshop, by the way, Glenn.
Yes, sir.
I am going to be bringing one heck of a workshop. How long do I have? Is it 8 hours or 4 hours?
8 hours.
Okay, so not enough time, but still better than 4. I've got to start doing practice. Like people who are watching the stream, I'm going to have to start doing practice runs to see if I can get all 8 hours without any flubs in a row. And plus, there's going to be people are going to want to eat and use the bathroom. Such babies, God! Like, what? Sit still. We have learning to do. No, I need to see if I can get. I'm going to start doing anyway. For people who are listening or watching, join me on this very channel in the next, I don't know, weeks, whatever, ahead of Devnexus, because my goal is to be able to sit down, start typing, and then walk and talk and code my way through 8 hours of workshop with, I'm not going to say no notes, but very, very few notes. You know what I'm saying? And certainly no.
I tell you what, the way I always saw workshops was like like, let's say you have an 8-hour workshop that's really about 6.5 hours of content.
Yeah.
It's like giving 6 breakout talks in a row.
Yes, but I want to do that, which I can do, but I need to, because there's not 10 minutes to reset. I need to be able to do this. Also, they need to be coherent. Like, they need to have a through line. Whereas if it was just 6 actual different talks, then I could start from 0 again. Whereas this, it sort of needs to build. Anyway, I'll be doing practice runs. That's what I'm trying to tell people. Join me on this channel if you want to see me working through this workshop. I've already got a 2-day workshop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to condense it down to 1 day by going a lot faster. So I really can't afford to like be sitting there and taking time to breathe or read.
Well, it is. I tell you what, folks. I'll put it this way. Not only is Josh's talk or workshops educational, they are super educational. They're fun.
Josh Cummings.
And they're real. It's real. And that's the part is like, it's meant for developers. It's meant for whether, get in there, have fun. And you're like, man, I don't know. I'm a little nervous about going in. And if you mess up, that's okay. That's part of the learning experience. If you make a mistake on section 3, that's okay, because part of what he's going to do, he's going to say, okay, you messed up on section 3. That's okay. Let's pick up on section 4. I've got it pre-configured. We'll take up 4 and take you to 6. Go back and work on section 3 later in the conference. Grab Josh when you see him. Say, hey, I had a problem on section 3. Can you help me with this? And it's like, same way with a talk. If you're like, hey, I listened to Glenn's talk, and I'm doing a talk on, oh my gosh, I keep forgetting the title of it here. The Overwhelmed Spring Developer's Guide to AI, right? Yeah. And that's what I'm going to cover a lot of. It's like, okay, you have Spring AI. How can we get it to work with the rest of the Spring ecosystem? And we're going to give you several examples, but you may go in and say, there was something in there, Glenn, I have a question about. And you see me running around. Remember, the bald guy just running all over the place. Grab me, and I'll say, hey, can you meet me in 5 minutes over here? And ask me, talk to me. That's what it's all about.
Always. It's the absolute best thing. So that'll be fun. So the workshop, I'll be talking about this new MCP thing. And Anthropic, for those of you who don't know, they released this protocol? I don't know, a standard.
Yeah, it's a context protocol.
It's called Model Context Protocol, but what is it? I mean, they released a spec for this protocol, which allows you to build tools that integrate with the desktop client for Claude. So Claude is an AI engine like ChatGPT. They have a Mac and Windows native binary that you can download and install locally. And then you open up a config file and you point the desktop experience for Claude Desktop. You point it to the location of a binary that provides, that speaks this protocol, this MCP protocol. And the protocol, I kid you not, is standard in and standard out. So it's going to speak to you via standard I/O. And there's another one. There's an HTTP. They even defined the HTTP implementation, the spec for the same, but they don't support it. So in order to do something for Claude, you really do only have to you have to speak standard in and out. And so Spring AI has an experimental project called Spring AI MCP that provides support for both HTTP and standard in and out, both services and clients. So if you wanted to wield these tools built using this protocol in your Spring app, even if you're not a model, right? Even if you're just, if you wanted to act sort of like Claude Desktop does, and you wanted to call into somebody else's MCP service we have Spring AI MCP clients for both standard in and standard out. Both for standard IO or HTTP, and we have Spring AI MCP services for both standard IO and HTTP. So and you can imagine, even for the desktop users, well, we have GraalVM, right? So you can build a native image with GraalVM for mytool.exe or mytool or whatever on Mac and Linux. Ship that native binary using Spring AI MCP client or service rather, and then people can point their cloud desktop to that native binary that you give them. They don't have to deploy Java, don't have to deploy anything. A lot easier to help people get these tools than it would be if you're using like Python or JavaScript, whatever, because they have to deploy a runtime and all that craziness. It just works. It's just really, really powerful. Now these tools they show up, so you can ask it like, "What's the weather?" Well, now it has a tool it can ask, which in turn talks to some web service, maybe. It just does it. It just works. It's
pretty smooth. I mean, it's like you said. It's you think about it's bidirectional. I mean, it is where it's actually doing that communication.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes like we go IO, and it's like that's what it means. It means it's two ways.
Yeah.
And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that it basically what it does is it smooths out. You don't have to think necessarily in function. You're providing a binary, and it just says, "Oh, I know how to use that."
Right.
And it makes it smoother for us. Again, it kind of goes into that. Again, it drops that cognitive load just a little bit. Yeah. Every little bit we can get is good.
Yes.
And that's what MCP really helps with.
And I would love to talk about that. That I think is also kind of related to the tooling. So look at that. You've got an AI track. You've got a tooling track. Where's the AI tooling track? Huh? They would be just as one talk. Yeah, exactly.
I was saying, it's like the AI. I was trying to remember if I don't think we have an MCP that's directly entitled, but if somebody brings it up in their talk. I mean, the MCP really was it October, November? Kind of mentioned out there. And that's what I was trying to look at. It's like, when was it introduced? Well, it was November 25th was when they introduced it.
And most of the elves in Santa's workshop were busy making toys, but Christian and the Spring AI team were busy working on this. And these releases started to come out like right before Christmas and into the new year. And we're up to like M7 or something like that, right? Just a ton of releases that have come out in the last month and a half or two, I guess, since the release, like you say, right around Thanksgiving. And it's good. So anyway, did I mention you should come to Dr. Pollock in my talk at Devnexus? Because
I think you should.
You can bet we're going to be talking about agentic workflows and MCP stuff, among others, So much cool stuff.
Yeah, the title is Spring AI Seamlessly Integrating AI into Your Enterprise Java Applications. I think that is a smooth title for that.
That's so boring. I don't even know what the title. Just ignore the text. I mean, just go. Trust me.
Go. Look for Josh. Look for Dr. Pollock. Just show up. Ask me. He says, where, and I'll tell you what, let me make it even easier. Let's forget the title.
Yeah.
On Thursday, March 6th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, be in room 313.
A month and 3 days from now.
Yes.
That's
the schedule is up for Devnexus. Go in there, just look for Josh's talks. Just plan on being there. And I guarantee it'll be a lot of fun.
I'm so excited. That's a month. I'm going to be in Atlanta in a month. I thought that was like months from now, but we're already in February. Happy February to you.
Yes. Black History Month is great.
Black History Month. I love that. I just read in the newspaper or the online. I don't know what you're supposed to in the news.
Yeah.
But the app for my local San Francisco Chronicle newspaper. There was a little thing about how the first African American airline pilot in the States. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Countries did this a lot faster than we did, but in the States, she just retired. She's been flying for 35 plus years.
Oh wow!
When she took the job, she was the first commercial airline pilot, first commercial African American airline pilot, that's
35 years. That is fantastic.
Or United, by the way, like United has a bad rap, but this is one of those, you know, uh, good job, well done.
You're well done. Good job.
Um,
Great career.
well, so it's also St. Brigid's Day, which is I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's an Irish thing where they celebrate the sort of midpoint between winter and spring, which means that we are a month and a half away from springtime.
Oh my gosh, can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh, let me think about that. Nice.
Yeah.
In the northern hemisphere. In the northern hemisphere. So.
Yeah, in the northern. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to be hemispherist. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. So what let's see what else has happened. So let's see. All right, so we can talk. My goodness, we can say, well, we could talk Spring Boot had their latest about a couple weeks ago, had their latest release. And so that's out. Spring Cloud is just released their M1 for 2025.
Yeah.
That is out. So please play. There will be a couple of Spring Cloud folks at Devnexus. Spencer Gibb will be there, who's the project lead, and as well as Ryan Baxter.
Yep.
They will be there. They will be giving talks on various Spring Cloud topics. Oh my gosh, what else has happened out there?
Too much. Good stuff.
Too much. Yes.
So yeah, go see it. Go. Can they still book tickets, or are you all sold out?
Oh, please come on in. We've got room. Just go to devnexus.com, devnexus.com, and then there's a big old link there that says register. Go ahead and register on in there, and you take a look at the speakers, see who's there, see the talks.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's 14 tracks, and I think there's like 8 talks per track, so there's plenty enough to go around. We have introduced a leadership track, so if your boss wants to come in and catch a little bit about leadership, but also learn a little bit about technology,
nice.
They have a track for that. Like I said, we really introduced the AI track this year because of the number of talks we were seeing kind of come in, and we said, well, let's do this. Not everything is AI, right?
Yeah.
There's other things out there that are still like just going gangbusters and doing great. So in that case, how can we, give AI its due? So we said, let's create an AI track.
Right.
Because there's still, so that way you say, look, I want to focus here. That does not mean that AI does not bleed over into some of the others, but it gives it that nice focus area that you can go to. Whether you're still in the cloud zone where it's like, look, I'm still deploying my my apps on Kubernetes, right? So there's, like I need to learn a little more about build packs. I need to learn a little bit more about how to integrate my containers out there and my job apps within those containers. There's talks about that. If you are looking at, doing some native, my gosh, we just talked about it. But you're trying to do native compilation for your job apps.
Right.
Talks about that. The latest in the Spring realm, Spring security. The latest in the security realm. There was a couple of bleed overs where, if you look in the security track, what are the security considerations when you're dealing with AI?
Right.
Right. What's the legal ramifications of some of that? What are some of the weaknesses that, by exposing an AI interface out there, what are some of your weaknesses out there? So there's talks about that within the security track. I was trying to think. Did I mention that there's going to be an open bar? I did mention that already.
Okay, I'm super excited. There's going to be a booth, by the way.
Yes.
The Tanzu booth. You and I will both be there, I reckon, for bits and pieces. And we've got like some commercial stuff, so come learn about that. I don't know what we're going to be showing, so I don't want to bring it up, but there's going to be some of that as well, I guess. And it's just going to be really good. I've never been more excited about Devnexus. This is going to be one heck of a year.
Yep, and let's also forget about in May, there's this thing called Spring I/O coming out, and that is, so if you're like, well, I can't quite fly to the U.S., but I still want to know what's all spring and wonderful.
True. Yeah.
Spring I/O is going to be in Barcelona.
Spring I/O is
horrible climate there. in May.
Sure. Right.
So there's opportunities there to learn. So folks, I highly encourage if you have an opportunity to go in to either Devnexus or Spring IO,
Right.
please hop in there, get a chance to talk with folks, find out what's new. There'll be Java champions at both.
Right.
Like I said, there's more of a focus at Devnexus this year for it, but don't be shy to go to Spring IO.
Right.
Trying to think what else is going on in the world, my friend. I mean, oh my goodness, he caught me flat-footed. I was trying to think of some of the other stuff that's been coming out lately.
Spring Framework 4, Spring Framework 7, and Spring Boot 3, 4 this year.
Yes, that's coming out fourth quarter this year.
Yep. So maybe we'll see.
Dataflow 3.0 will be coming out fourth quarter this year.
Well, is that going to be based on Boot 4 or 3X?
4.
Oh boy. So you're going to skip. Like,
yeah, we're going to release a tag for the boot or Dataflow on the 3 line. So we're going to have a tagged release of that. A tagged branch of that will be available for people to use, to experiment, to play with. But we're going straight to 4. Now that does not mean that you're in trouble. You're like, oh my gosh, I have these Boot 3 apps. So you're okay.
No.
So you'll be fine come November. So Boot 3 and Boot 4 apps will be working on Dataflow.
They're back.
The Boot 2s, I'm sorry.
Time to move.
Time to move on, my friends. I don't want to have to tell you that, but it's time to move on to the 3s and 4s. So, I just want you to know that's coming up. But let's see what else we had. We had, there will be a Spring Cloud will be releasing a 2025 2, which will be coming out we'll have Boot 4 support in the fourth quarter this year.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of, spring is hopping, man. There's a lot of stuff going on. Have we talked about the null pointer work that's been going on under Spring Framework in their latest milestone? So null pointer protections are coming out for it. That projects from Spring Framework up is going to be integrated in Spring 7. So that's coming fourth quarter, but you could play with it right now under a milestone, kick the tires, have some fun. The other thing I'm going to say this, I know I'm bouncing around. It's like sometimes you have to think about all the stuff that's going on. Batch now supports Mongo as a data store for itself, not just for a reader writer, but like if you want to have where we talked about the restartability, knowing how the state of your batch apps. We used to only use a relational database. Now you can actually use Mongo.
I love it. So
that was one of those big ones that people wanted to have, and Bamud just knocked it out of the park. It's currently available. So pull it down, have some fun.
Okay. Well, I think there's a lot. I think people are, anyway, if you're not persuaded that you should be going to this show, then either of these shows, and I don't know what to tell you.
Well, Mahmoud will be there too. He's giving a talk on batch.
Is he coming? So is he going to do both spring? So Mahmoud, for those of you who don't know, lives in Europe, right? I don't know if he's mentioned. I think we've talked to him. He's in France, right? So, but the point is, Atlanta is not next door.
No, it's not.
It's not like a 1 hour drive for him,
No, but he's flying in.
So he'll be coming, and then will he also go to Spring IO? Because
I don't know if he's doing Spring IO. Has Spring IO released their schedule yet?
I don't know actually. I don't even know Spring IO. I hope so.
No, they don't let me go over the pond too much. Let's see.
It is a very small pond.
Let's see. All right. Oh well. Check one more. I don't want to give dead air here, but I've been known to do that.
That's okay. Yeah, it's good. It's all good.
It's I don't. They still don't have their schedule up. But
okay, let's not speculate out loud.
Yes, but there we go.
Where would people? We already talked about this. Devnexus, DEVNEXUS.com.
And it is in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yep, and then
And so just get on a Delta flight and everything goes through Atlanta from Delta. So it doesn't matter. Just get on a Delta plane. You'll find yourself in Atlanta in 24 or 48 hours, something like that. So you'll be fine. That's not legal advice. That's not advice I want you to follow.
That's kind of funny though. You could actually take a vacation on Delta. Just go anywhere, and you'll find yourself in the right city. Just make sure you have a 2-day layover.
Yes.
Layover.
Yes. Just fly anywhere. Just make sure it has more than 3 stops. One of those stops will be Atlanta, probably.
So. Yeah. What about you, my friend? By the way, you and I are pistachio cold brew people now.
Yes, we are. I've already finished mine.
I finished half of it, and for those who don't know, I just had one of these before we got on air. Yeah, right before we got on air. Glenn said you should try the pistachio cold brew, and I said that sounds disgusting. Lose this number, and anyway, it was so good. It's like
we just needed a little bit of happiness, and we got it, and so we're hyper caffeinated. I'm coding into the night.
Oh yeah, and morning.
Yes. There is that transition.
Well, okay, my friend. Where do people learn about you? Are you on the internet? Do you want to be found?
Well, I'll tell you what. You could probably find me on the X or on Blue Sky. You'll find me at CPPWFS. Just follow me there. You'll see me retweet or repost all the cool stuff that my fellow Spring folks do. I really enjoy what they do. They're fantastic folks. So you'll see me do that. You'll see me make mentions of the Atlanta Java Users Group, as well as Devnexus. So you'll see me kind of post out stuff like that. So keep an eye out there. You'll see me here in Devnexus, but I'll be doing Arc of AI. I'll be doing an ethics talk with Nate Judah at Arc of AI. And so learning about all the graces of, the goodness and the badness of AI. And basically we're going to be talking about, having a deterministic, what's the ethics of working with a system that's no longer deterministic, right? How do we navigate the ethics around that? So we'll be giving a talk on that March 31st, or that conference from March 31st to April 3rd, I think.
Right.
So it's in Austin. So I'll be there. And like I said, if you ever stop by in Atlanta on the 3rd Tuesday of any month, you'll find me off of Abernathy Road at the Rome there, hosting Atlanta Java Users Group.
Right.
So it's awesome. Great bunch of folks there.
Okay, I can't wait. I'll be there as well, also separate from that group of great folks at the Arc of AI show.
Oh, that's right. We'll be there. Woohoo!
Wouldn't miss it for all the I don't even know, but whatever.
All the cold brew in
San Francisco. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, Glenn.
Sure.
You're the best. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
See you, folks.